Hi, guys. Welcome to the Bold, Beautiful Borderline podcast. It's your host, Sarah, and today we have a returning guest.
Mhm.
I'm very excited for her to introduce herself. But before we get to that, don't forget it is the month that is Borderline Personality Disorder Awareness Month. That is a mouthful. I hope you're celebrating yourself this month and finding ways to reduce stigma, get connected to your community, find new resources, and practice being visible. Okay, Christina, you are here to update us. It's been a couple of years. When I saw you last, I was living in my apartment, I think.
Yes,
And
it's
so
been a
it's been a
while.
while. We're
Yeah.
going to talk about relapse and recovery. Intro yourself. Fill us in on what's been happening.
Yes. Hello, my name is Christina. I have been on this podcast before to discuss my experiences with my borderline. But since then, I have moved to a new state, ended a long-term relationship, and now have a new partner. Struggled with my sobriety and relapses and now in DBT and just a lot of new things happening. Lots of transitions.
Yes, a lot of transition. We had talked about you coming on the podcast to talk about relapse quite a while ago,
Mm-hmm.
and my voice broke there quite a while ago. And I have to be honest, I wasn't ready to listen to your story
Mm-hmm.
because as much as it's your story, I'm the one on the other end of the camera and the recording device, whatever this is, the microphone, listening. And
Yeah,
the thought of relapse is really emotional and really scary. And
it is. Yeah.
I was watching like this TV show with my husband last night, and this lady sat down at a bar and was drinking a glass of red wine. I started fucking crying. Like I was like mourning, right? So people who aren't addicts don't get it.
Yeah.
Fill me in. Where do you want to start today?
Um, I mean, I guess we'll start the last time I was on the podcast. I think I had about 2 years of sobriety. Um, and yeah, I moved to Minnesota in 2023, September, and quickly relapsed. Um, when I moved back to Minnesota, I didn't have a lot of support in the city that we landed up in. Um, we ended up in a very small town that was an hour from my family and my friends. Um, and it was just hard. I went back to drinking by myself.
Which is the best way to drink.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
and I
that
yeah,
that method.
yeah, and I don't think a lot of people know like the extent of my relapse just because I wasn't ready to really talk about it, but it is what it is. I had to be honest with myself and with people about it, so
I have to say, like, I had 7 attempts at sobriety, but
mhm.
when you're at the attempt that feels like it's sticking, I'm never going to say it's sticking, right? Because when you say it's sticking, that's when it gets really muddy and
Mhm.
sticky. Um, but this one feels good. I feel different in it. I
Yeah.
feel more confident in it.
Yeah.
Um, but the seven before almost weren't relapses. They were just like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm going back to this thing that I like now. The thought of going back now feels,
Mhm.
it almost feels like I couldn't get sober again. Did you have that feeling?
Yes. I felt a lot of shame around just my behaviors and my coping mechanisms. Um, so I think I felt a lot of shame, but I know like my reality, like I should not be drinking. I can't be drinking because I just can't have one. And I'm already like a very addictive personality with everything else and very impulsive. Um, so yeah, it was hard to like feel like that I needed to get sober and that I could do it again. But again, I have a new partner that is so supportive and he's sober and it's just, yeah, it's been a good attempt. I mean, yeah, time.
That part makes a big difference is having a sober partner.
It does. And our relationship is very different than my last relationship. Um, so it is just a complete 180 from what I had before. And yeah, it's just, I don't even know how to describe it in words.
I love it. I wish everyone could see your face because when you talk about addictive personality, you and I are so similar in this way.
Yeah.
I don't have most of my piercings anymore. Most of them have, whatever. But like, if you could see Christina's face, it's the most beautiful set of like, it almost like it starts at the top of her head and goes to the bottom of her chin almost. And I had to tell you because Talon was a body piercer for like 10 years, right?
Yes.
And he saw a photo of you and he was like, those piercings are so good. Like he literally said like the jewelry is spot on, everything like matches, like the location and placements are really good. So I just want you to
Oh,
know
thank
that he
you.
said
Shout
that.
out Trevor Thomas in Eugene.
I love it.
Yeah, I will have to let him know. Thank you.
Yes. So when did you start noticing that you were an addict? Like when was the first time you used that? Do you use alcoholic or addict? Because I use addict because I think of this
Um,
as an
I
umbrella.
go between the both because even marijuana, like I ride or die, like all or nothing. I spoke about that on the last time too, but everything, it's like all or nothing for me. So I use both terms.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when did you first sort of like, okay, we talk about the surrender. Like
Mhm.
when did you surrender to that is like a reality for me.
You know, I hmm, this it was a couple years ago. My first big time like being sober, my first long time, that first 2 years. I just got to a point where I knew I had to do it. And I did do an AA meeting and that was just not for me. Um, but when it got to the point where I could not even like get through the day without drinking, like it was just not good. And then my mental health and my medications, like I shouldn't be drinking on my medications too. So, and just knowing that I shouldn't. But I definitely got to that point for sure.
Yeah. You have a lot of insight.
Thank you.
Yeah. So obviously being in this like isolated small town played a role with the alcohol use, but
Mhm.
like what else did that move impact for you mental health wise and like specifically your borderline?
Yeah, so moving back to Minnesota, even though it is a great thing and the move like went well, we moved with 4 animals and we drove from Oregon to Minnesota. Like that was stressful in itself. Um, but I am now back in the state where my parent, where I've got no contact with lives. I've had to see them a few times, so that has just been stressful. Um, Work, I've kind of jumped through a couple jobs since I've moved back to Minnesota, and at one point didn't have insurance. Um, and that really sucked because I didn't have my meds and I was just out of whack. So there was a lot of transitions.
Yeah, I feel like transitions really bring out the borderline symptoms because routine seems to be very good for us as long as we also have like healthy impulsivity.
Yes, I agree with that. Routine is something that I'm working on now. Like that's a goal for me in DBT to keep my like nighttime routine, morning routines. Because I am definitely impulsive and I could easily just stay up all night and drink.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Okay, but there's nothing worse than a hangover, right? Like a hangover is actually Satan incarnated or something. Like I could throw up thinking about throwing up.
yep. I surprisingly like I wasn't getting a lot of hangovers, which I don't know how because at the height of my drinking, like drinking 2 bottles of champagne a day, like how could you not? But I would get up the next morning and drink. So
I don't know. That is amazing. I drink a lot of hard liquor, so maybe
Uh-huh.
that was the difference. Like I was drinking vodka
Right.
uh, almost daily, and then adding in wine to that too. Like
Mm,
when you, so if
mix.
anyone is listening who can, for whatever God-forsaken reason that it happened to you and not me, like healthily drink and only occasionally drink, don't mix your liquor.
Yeah.
Like let's not do that. But you're in DBT now. Tell me
I
about it
am.
because I remember when you were looking for DBT. I don't know how long ago that was, and you were having a hard time trying to find DBT. How did you finally find it, and what's the process been for you?
Yes. So this DBT group, I've been going for almost not even 3 months. So it's pretty new. But I ended up getting the referral through my psychiatrist and my therapist that I had a couple months ago, because I had a really bad major depressive disorder or episode, um, and was very suicidal and just suicidal ideations every day. And I was sleeping, couldn't get out of bed. And I finally like just kind of made the decision, like, you need to do more, than just therapy and medication. Like you need extra support. And that was very clear to my doctors. So they had no problem like giving me referrals. And the place I'm getting my DBT group, I was pretty quick to get in. So I was really lucky because I know sometimes it can be really expensive or the wait lists are really long. So it's been a good experience though.
What do you like best about it, and what challenges you or pisses you off about it? Because I know there's something.
Yeah. What I like most about it is my group, for one. We're all very different, but we all have very similar feelings. And that has just been an eye opener because there are people in my group where I look and I'm like, I would never be friends with you. But in this group, we're going through the same things. We're feeling the same things, and it's bringing us together, and that's cool. The skills, I think I showed you my skills that I got, my little skill cards. It's been nice to utilize these just even in my relationship and my personal, professional relationships too. Um, what I least dislike, or yeah. Um, Sometimes leaving the house to get there is hard, and especially days when I'm like really tired because I usually do an early morning and get done with work early just so I can go to DBT, because it is like a 3 hour group. So it's a long freaking day for me. So leaving the house but once I get there, like I enjoy myself. It's just really getting there has been hard.
Yeah, it's a bummer there's not more online programs for people. I mean, I know that there's a part of the experience that you miss out on
Yeah.
being online, but I also know for a lot of folks, it's the difference between doing DBT and not doing DBT is it
Hmm.
being online, you know?
Yeah. I don't know if I would get all of what I need out of virtual. So I'm glad that it like gets me out of the house too. Um and just getting myself there too. I tell myself like it's a commitment you made. Um yeah, so it's just part of my routine on Wednesdays. That's what I do, which has been nice. Otherwise I'd come home and not do anything.
Yeah. And it's only one day a week?
It's 1 day a week, but it's for 3.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But and then I believe the program is like a 9 to 12 month typical program, longer if needed, but it's just 1 day.
And so while you're in IOP, you're only doing group, you don't see an individual provider and a psychiatrist there. You're going to continue to see your outpatient folks. Is that how that's working?
Yes. But currently, because I recently just got a new job, I'm looking for a new therapist, which that's in the works. We've been playing phone tag. I do have med management scheduled, but I have medication. because before I switched jobs, I let my old provider know and she stopped me up. So I'm golden. Because that's a big struggle too. So I'm fortunate to have the medication still while I wait for the appointments.
Yeah. So you don't have any meds that you can only get 30 days at a time then? Because I have like two different meds that I can only get. You can't get it sooner than like 28 days. So I can't backstock those meds. But
Hmm.
your meds, you can all get 90 days at a time, it sounds like.
Yeah.
That's so nice. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I've never really had that opportunity. So the fact that I can get that amount and like this instance where I like switch jobs, I was like, oh no. But it worked
Hmm.
out. So,
Well, it also shows like your prescribers like trust in you and
hmm.
like trust in your insight to give you that many medication bottles at a time, basically. Like they're trusting you to be safe with it.
Yeah. And that's something I don't want to say I'm unsafe, but med compliance has been an issue for me in the past. But again, I have another new partner who is also very willing to remind me, and we put up a shelf where I can see it every day and I have everything like set up. So that's been nice. I have that routine too.
Hmm. Yeah, I find having a partner who's like very on top of your meds with you is
Mhm.
a big, it's a game changer. It's the difference between like having a chance at recovery for me and not having a chance at recovery. Because
Mhm.
like at this point, if left to my own devices, I'll take my meds, but I had years where that was not the case. And
Mhm.
like Talon is very much like, have you taken your meds today? And if I haven't yet, and he says this before 8 a.m., and if I haven't yet, he'll be like, all right, we're taking them, and he'll get them out and he'll get them ready.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that for you.
Yeah. So, how is your partner liking DBT skills? Because I think it's like the best, sweetest thing in the world when a partner like learns them while you're learning them.
Yes. My gosh, he's so sweet because he will actively use them with me. Um, One of my goals that I just switched last week, it was to use like a non-judgmental stance. So we've been really good about pointing out like, why are we apologizing? Like what? Like why? What? Effective communication has been really great. He's already great at communicating with me. Like we talk about everything. Um, But yeah, he even like reminds me, he's like, you should write that in your diary card, your DBT diary card. And I'm like, well, that's really sweet. So just the fact that he's engaged with me with the DBT skills and he utilizes them too, I'm like, I don't know. I can't say anything negative about it.
What skills do you reach for most? Do you like, has it been long enough for you to tell what's most effective?
Yeah, I do use like the self-soothe skill every night. I'm a big lotion person. So after I shower, because that's hard too for me to shower and my hygiene, brushing my teeth, but I make it like a ritual, like, ooh, what lotion are we going to use and what scent and whatever. Um, I've been trying to use like urge surfing. Definitely like when I am feeling really depressed or just angry or mad or sad, sitting with the feelings, but not letting it like ruin my day. And I will like verbally tell myself, like, this isn't going to ruin your day. Like, you're okay. So just giving me that grace though. And then there's one other one with my marijuana use, opposite to emotion. Um, yeah, I've been trying to use that when I want to smoke.
Yeah, explain that. That's opposite action. Explain that to people.
Yes. So, I mean, from what I believe it is, let's see, I have my little card here. Do the opposite of the action a negative emotion pulls you to perform. And with my marijuana use, I wouldn't say it's a negative for me, but it's so habitual that I could easily smoke a gram of oil in 24 hours, where most people would be like, what the fuck? Like, that would last me a week. I'm like, oh,
Does that put you on your ass? I think personally, marijuana is the worst drug in the world. I would do cocaine all day long if I could.
yeah.
But like,
It
Does
doesn't.
it not make you, it doesn't give you any weird brain shit?
No.
Okay. It
And
calms you down, like people say.
um sometimes
Hmm.
I don't know. I no, no. I think at this point it's
Yeah.
just so habitual, and I'm going to say I don't smoke flower. I strictly smoke oil and dabs too. So it's just been a routine and ritual with that. But another, like the ritual with it, like it affects how I eat food and
Yeah.
when I go to sleep. So working on not having those rituals too has been a goal.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's time consuming.
Well, and it's interesting to me that like it's hard for you to name like how you feel when you're on it because it's just so normal, right?
It is, and my tolerance, because I smoke oil, it's my tolerance has been so high. Um, and I can still get it here in Minnesota easily. So it's not like
Hmm.
it's hard. So,
Yeah, interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, opposite action is like the best. I love that you're using that to like reduce the habitual use and just
Yes.
like opposite action does include some urge surfing of like, okay, well,
Mhm.
what is the, what's a good example? Okay, if I'm angry at my partner, anger is the negative emotion state, and I want to tell him like, fuck you, I fucking hate your guts,
Mhm.
then I have to like ride that out and not do it, and then go towards him and say, I love you, I'm grateful for you.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I can't picture what the negative emotion state when you're using marijuana would be because that's not a part of my life, but
I've
that skill is so important.
I've also been given I forgot what they're called, but like emotion charts
Hmm.
to track like what's making me want to smoke and how I feel and what did I do to not do it, or if I did do it. So those I've been filling out. So those have been helpful. But
Yeah, aren't you learning so much about yourself?
I am. Um, but it's nice because some of the skills, like I bring it to work and I share it with my colleagues and my coworkers. I actually grabbed a couple of these cards just so I could give one to someone because they were like, "Oh, that would be cool if I had one." I was like, "I can gladly get you one."
Hmm.
And with the work I do, I'm a case manager for kids and adolescents. Like, I can share that with my clients and their families. So it's not just about me.
Mm-mm. No,
Yeah.
I just got shivers because I swear the fact that I know DBT so well from having done it is a big part of why I think I'm a decent therapist. Like, I am confident that I give people tools to make their lives easier. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say too, you mentioned like it makes you a better therapist. I did have an experience with a therapist last year that I did use DBT skills to like self-advocate for myself, but I didn't know it was like DBT skills at the time. But yeah, this therapist like really, yeah, she did not make me feel good. She told me she wouldn't diagnose me or anyone with BPD because she doesn't do that. But I kindly but proudly and in my I wasn't mean, but I like self-advocacy. I like stood up about how I felt about it because she wanted to diagnose me with something else that I truly don't believe I have. But yeah, using DBT skills in the past when I didn't even know about it, so that was cool.
Yeah. Do you remember what you said?
I think I said like I don't agree with you. And you're listing all these things, and this is why I don't agree with you. But I had like my knowledge of my borderline stuff because I've worked on that for so long and have an understanding of it that I could back up my response, I guess, because she wanted to diagnose me with bipolar, just because she doesn't diagnose people with borderline. And I just told her, I said, I don't agree with you, and I feel really just not validated. And then I switched providers and I got a new provider. So
That I am certain that so many people listening to this right now are going to feel like one, seen because we know that's a common experience, and
Mhm.
two, like empowered to have that
Yeah.
discussion with other providers. Like that, the fact that you spoke up, you must have been so afraid and maybe even feeling shame because that's
Mhm.
an unkind thing to say to somebody when it's not consistent with how they present. Like,
Mhm.
if you don't have bipolar disorder, you don't have bipolar disorder. Like, you're not putting that in my medical record,
Right.
lady.
Just because she didn't want to diagnose someone with that, she didn't like it. Um, yeah, I mean, it was the first time I've ever stuck up to like a medical professional. Um, and I said, I wasn't trying to be mean, and I think I even said that, like, I'm not trying to be mean, but I don't agree with you. Like, you're,
Yeah, and that's not mean.
yeah, it's not. It's not.
Mm.
But I had never experienced that before. But when that happened, I was like, what the huh? Because I got a message about something and it said like the diagnosis, and I got that before I had the conversation with her. So that pissed me off to begin with. Um, but yeah, it's all good now.
Yeah. Well, it's so important because it changes the direction of treatment. Like
Mhm.
bipolar and BPD are very similar in some ways, but there's differences in how you treat them. Like
Right.
having there's symptoms of bipolar, for example, that you can't fact check. You
Mhm.
can just say like, this is, I know this is paranoia is happening. Yes, I can fact check it and it's not going to change my emotion state because this is paranoia and paranoia is happening and this is a brain thing and we're going to write it out.
Mhm.
Whereas with BPD, you can fact check and it can actually make you feel like calmer and
Mhm.
more at ease, or maybe not all the way, but like it can be truly beneficial to your feelings.
Mhm.
Um, Not that it also can't for people with bipolar, but like there is a difference there in how you cope.
Yeah. Another big thing that she was telling me was like my mood cycles. Where with borderline, I am constantly mood cycling throughout the day. And that I felt like I had to explain that to her again and again, but she just wouldn't like take it like as an answer. Um, but yeah, when I was telling my partner that this had happened, he was like, "Well, what do you mean? Like I see your moods, like I can see it just being with you in a day." Yeah. And like without my medication too, like he's seen me unmedicated, so he's like, "Oh, I get it now." So when I told him about that, he was like, "Wait, what?" What? But
Well, it's interesting too. I've been learning about there's a pretty high co-occurring rate of
mm,
borderline and bipolar.
mm,
So like that often presents as like rapid cycling, which we have as people with borderline. And
mhm,
again, it looks like slightly different. But if you've also never sustained like a mood state, like what you're talking about, hundreds of mood states throughout the day, it's like, lady, you're not going to put this in my medical record. That's stigma. That's unfair. Sorry, you're uncomfortable, but I'm not uncomfortable.
right. And that's kind of where I left it at. So I was like, I've already done so much work on myself around the borderline. I know I have borderline. Like, you can't tell me I don't. So yeah. And then I didn't want to like seem like I'm arguing, but I'm like, you're not listening to me. So I
Yeah.
was like, we're done.
Oh my gosh. I hung up on my therapist once and I've been with her for like 5 years.
Oh
And
my
I just straight
gosh.
up was like, bye, Jennifer.
Like,
Yeah. So there's been so many different transitions. What else is important for us to talk about? I mean, we've obviously talked about your relapse and your new recovery, and I could talk about that all day, but what's
mhm.
important for you to share with people?
I think another big thing, I'm still no contact with one parent. I've had to see that parent since I've moved back, and that has been tricky. But boundaries has been a big thing that I'm constantly always working on and keeping in place. Yeah, because that parent has no sense of boundaries and no like self-awareness, doesn't read the room, and it's uncomfortable. But I've been doing good with boundaries. So,
Yeah, I mean, you would have to be in that scenario because the very nature of no contact generally means that you wouldn't see that person, right? So
yes.
like I'm no contact with my father and
Hmm.
nope, I will not be seeing him. Like that's what I need to be
Yeah.
safe. In fact, my grandmother was in the hospital and I realized like if she dies, like I'm gonna find my own way to mourn. I don't need to go to a funeral because that's what's societally acceptable. Like I'm not gonna see you, sir. Um, but you were put in a scenario where you obviously like had to be in the same room with your parent, and I can't fathom it. Like, how did your body feel?
Um, so the first time I saw them again when I moved back, my brother had gotten married. And we went to the like rehearsal dinner the night before the wedding. And I could just feel them looking at me like across the room. I can feel their eyes watching me. They did come up and ask, like, can I give you a hug? And I just like looked at them and burst out laughing because I was so uncomfortable. I did give them a hug because I mean, I'm not gonna be like, no, fuck you. Like, okay, well, okay, let's give a hug. And but then they just stood there, and that was really uncomfortable. So I just walked away. Um, but it's really just I feel uncomfortable in my own skin is the best way to describe it, I guess.
How did that test your sobriety,
Um,
if at all?
I mean, I stayed sober for a while still then. Um, I still had marijuana that I was using, but I wasn't drinking. And I think the families that I had there, they know all about this other parent, so they're aware that if you gotta leave, you gotta leave. Um, so yeah, I have support of everyone, but it's uncomfortable, especially when they don't have boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I am so impressed that you were able to stay in that moment and not do anything to hurt yourself or hurt someone else.
Mhm.
But I don't know you to be like really hurtful towards other people. I think you probably struggle with hurting yourself more than others. That just seems so unfathomable to me. I can't imagine. And yet at the same time, you're like, well, I'm going to show up and support my brother at his
Mhm.
wedding. I'm not going to miss that.
Right.
Like, I get that. So I guess that's just a rock and a hard place. That is like the reality of going no contact.
Right. Yeah, no. And it is what it is, but I just kind of stayed at the other side of the room at all costs. But definitely feeling eyes on me was not a fun feeling.
How was that for your brother? Did he talk to you about that?
So my brother is still in contact with this parent. Um, but boundaries with them, he holds really strong to them, and he's actually like pretty close to being like, all right, snip, we're done. Just because this parent has burned so many bridges with everyone and their kids are the only people left in their lives besides me. I mean, it's my brother now and his wife. Um, so he holds strong to boundaries, that's for sure. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I feel like if that was my brother, him and I would have had to have had a conversation about it beforehand, like a cope ahead conversation.
Yeah. We didn't even think about having one. But then when we were doing pictures, this parent wanted a picture of just us, my brother and I, and then his wife, and then this parent. And they had to come ask me, and I was like, well, yeah, like I'll take a picture. But even like that, we didn't think about that. But that parent again doesn't have boundaries. They couldn't let that go. They needed that picture. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You're
But
in a bad situation, you make the best of it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had to, and it's
Hmm.
not my day, so
Yeah. Yeah, nothing like a wedding to force you to just like grit your teeth or grin and bear it or whatever.
right. I had my little pearls on and everything. I'm like, okay.
I love it. That's so funny.
Yep.
So, what is up with you and your partner? I've been meaning to ask you, do you want to have babies? Not when will you, because that's a bullshit question, but like, do you want to mother? Because I'm at this place where like that's all I think about in my brain. Are you there? Like, are
You
you having
know,
those thoughts?
I don't think I want to have children. I've worked with kids for a long time, so that was really good birth control. Um, but with my mental health, I have kind of put that as a priority and know that there's no way I could take care of a child of my own when I can't even take care of myself some days. Um, and financially too, there's no way financially I could ever do that. So no, I don't think I want to have children, and my partner's on board with that too, and we want to travel and we like to sleep, take naps.
Fuck yeah, the sleeping part is like so big. Like, I think about if I were to have a baby, I'm like, oh, okay. I
Yeah,
already struggle with sleep, and then there's going to be a screaming tiny human. Like, that will be hard.
it would be hard. And I love kids, and my best friends have kiddos, and my stepbrother just had, well, not just, they just turned one, but there's kids in the family. So I'm like, I'm Auntie Tina. It will be okay.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been like an easy decision for me because I do like kind of grieve over that, I guess. Um, Feelings that like I am a woman and I'm not gonna experience that. Um, but I know with my mental health, there's no way. And I'm too chicken shit to even try that. So,
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that because this is something that people who aren't profoundly mentally ill don't understand.
mhm,
The dialogue that you have with yourself around will I or won't I parent is completely different. It's not just the money stuff, right? It's the
right.
like, am I capable? How will I feel while I'm doing it? How will I have a pregnancy and be medicated? What has to change then? Will I be able to work and parent? Like, will my partner be able to support me and then do more parenting than I will be able to do at times? Like, and is that selfish or is it selfless? Like, the, I don't know, being in our 30s, it feels like time is running out to make like a final decision for me, even though I know that's technically not true. But I also don't have sperm floating around, so it sort of is true. Um, I don't know. It's such a hard conversation to have with ourselves that people
Mhm.
who don't live like this don't realize.
Yeah. I definitely have talked to like my close friends about it. But I've never like my parents and stuff, like I've never really talked to them about it, but it's hard. Like it I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, as a woman, like and knowing that I probably will never experience that, like it does suck. And I love kids. Like I worked with them for years and years and years, and especially babies. Um, but I just know my mental health. I don't think I could handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yep.
that's a you decision. You get to make that
Yep.
decision.
Totally.
Well, my friend, what else? Is there anything else you want to share with people before we say goodbye? I am just enjoying catching up with you. And I have to say, you
Yeah.
seem different. Like you seem calmer.
Thank you. Yes. No, that this new relationship. It's not new. I've been in this relationship for 2 years now, but they are just a calm person. And they make me feel safe and validated and desired and heard. So it's a whole different ball game. Yeah. Different environment, different feelings.
I love it. Do you ever want to come back to Oregon? Well, I'm in Washington now, technically,
Yeah.
but do you ever want to go back to Oregon?
Yeah, there are days where I really, really miss just the way of living there, and my friends there. Like there are days where I wake up and I just cry. I'm like, I just miss it. It's different in the Midwest.
Yeah, especially now, I would imagine, not to get too political, even though that's all I do, but like it'd be a weird time to live in the Midwest.
Yeah, yeah. The little town I first moved to when we got back in September of 2023, it was not the most fun to be there because I stuck out like a sore thumb with my tattoos and my piercings and my colored hair and all these elderly white men and farms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I hate being stared at that way.
I just wave like,
Yeah.
hello.
Okay, lady. Well, what is one thing that you want people to know about borderline?
I think I would say I know a lot of people struggle with accepting their borderline diagnosis. I've always been one to be like, this is me. Like, if you don't like it, kick rocks. But also like educating people and just being a self advocate. Um, and you never know who you're going to affect because I was recently told that because I'm so open about my diagnosis and my struggles, that I've inspired other people to get help, whether that be DBT or therapy or partial hospitalization programs. So you never know who's like actually listening to you and taking your information to heart and you're planting that seed. So just being a self advocate.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm
Thank
just
you.
like, I just have to say again, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on here.